Welcome back. Now, I'm really tempted to give you an explanation about the snaring, but I'd leave the expert to tackle that part. In this segment, we're also talking about vaccination and school visit. It's more of an exciting period.
Take care of nature before it takes care of...
Spay and neuter campaigns is what we've actually tried, and this is meant to reduce the population of dogs. So when you talk about control of dogs, we do not control dogs, but we treat animals to control their own populations. Because one of the principles of animal welfare is to allow animals to practice natural behavior. If you can be able to influence that natural behavior, then you can do it by spay and neutering. But when you go and literally control the population of an animal, animals have got a social life, they've got a behavior. So you, for example, go and control and kill a female elephant. An adult female elephant has got all the memory and all the knowledge for the family. So what happens to that particular family? So you go and kill a female baboon. Baboon troops are actually led and controlled by a matriarch. So you just kill any female and it happens to be the matriarch. What happens to the social organization? You know, I mean, it's like removing a mother and leaving your kids destitute. They have no idea. So we don't advocate for control, you know, of animals. What we advocate for is planning, you know, where if there are too many wild animals in an area, then organize for corridors in which those animals can actually move out and go to another place. There is talk about, for example, utilizing and consuming of animals, whether domestic or wild. In our organization, all we say is that there has to be humane consumption, you know, where the animal does not suffer, even if you're going to eat it. So even if you slaughter a goat, it should not feel pain. If you slaughter a chicken, it shouldn't feel pain. If you slaughter a pig, a camel, or even a cow, there should not be pain. And there are methods of doing it. I am both Samburu and Rendile, and we consume. We do not subject our animals to pain at all. You know, and it's an interesting way, you know, of slaughtering, where we basically separate the cerebral nerve at the back of the head, you know, and in most cases, most animals do not fear. If you look at the way we do small stock, you know, small stock actually you basically just suffocate them, you know, for about 30 seconds and they're gone. You know, and it's a very interesting way, you know, we should actually learn on how to humanely. Well, there's no pain, because when you deny oxygen to the brain, the animal loses consciousness. You know, and when you faint, you don't feel pain even if someone cuts your hand at all.
Freshness, sweetness, happiness.
First and foremost, animal welfare is a form of conservation. Conservation is defined as the wise use of an animal resource. So when you practice animal welfare, you ensure that the animal resources are actually being used wisely, you know, with no distraction. That's the first thing. Secondly, the way we treat the animals does not negatively affect us, the consumers, and people who live with those animals. If you have a pig or a chicken that is not subjected to antibiotics treatment, that actually means that even when we consume that pig or a chicken, we are actually not consuming our own medicine back. We are promoting free movement of animals, as well as opening up of corridors, you know, where wild animals can actually move freely. And those particular corridors, you know, promote the diversity, you know, of populations from one part of the ecosystem to another. A lot of people are saying an elephant doesn't need a huge space. All it needs is different narrow corridors to move from one space to the next. But everybody says, no, 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 no. Get the people out and create a national park. And we're like, no, know where the elephants are, and then create a corridor from one place to the next. Another thing that we're promoting diversity is when you include local people, in animal welfare best practices, you realize that it increases positive attitudes towards those particular animals. And that leads to less destruction of those animals by people who would otherwise be very ignorant, of what the value of those animals are.
Freshness, sweetness.
Generally, when a community, especially a community in a rural setting, understands that there are different ways of deterring an animal from consuming, for example, a goat, that particular community becomes very, very positive. Let me give you work by some of our partners. I've already highlighted Save the Elephants' use of bees to deter elephants. But read about lion guardians, that actually promote the flashlights, to keep hyenas, leopards, and lions out of bomas. And a lot of people say, yeah, we can live with lions as long as we've got the flashlight. So it depends on what, the issue is, whether you can actually be able to solve the problem, and whether the local people can actually own the problem and the solution. When it comes to rabies, and our organization provides accessibility to rabies vaccines for the dogs, then people then start having a very positive attitude towards the dogs. We raise the resources in the areas we work in, or we raise resources to provide free vaccination to dogs, cats, and donkeys in the areas we actually work in. So ours is free. And we are not saying that being free means that the people do not pay anything. They pay with their time, and they pay with their interest to actually bring an animal to vaccination. So we urge the corporates, within their corporate social responsibilities, to support organizations like African Network for Animal Welfare, and lots of others like Donkey Sanctuary, Brook, the Wild Animal Protection, and come and join them in trying to improve the relationships between people and animals.
The surrounding breeze, freshness, sweetness.
First and foremost, animals have got a lot of benefits. Most dogs can read your mind. There are very many people who can tell you that the dogs start barking when they're 2 kilometers away without the dog ever seeing or even smelling them. But for some reason, they can tell their owner is around. If you look at many people who get depressed, and many kids who basically have very violent behavior, the moment they get into contact with a dog, all of a sudden everything changes. Now, why do many people have dogs in their house nowadays rather than a man or a woman? In most, it's companionship. A dog will actually understand you much more than a man or a woman. Look at kids. Kids are inseparable from pets. If you introduce, when you take a kid somewhere and they see a dog, they're like, Mommy, can I have that? And the dog is really happy because the kid and the dog, have a very big connection. And if you tell a kid, if you become a nice, good boy, then you can have the dog. And all of a sudden the boy changes. Why do boys keep rabbits? I mean, think about the lessons that rabbits teach boys. Boys are never violent with rabbits. And a lot of boys really learn how to be humble, how to take care, and basically how to look at the world just from a rabbit's point of view. Read a lot about animal-assisted therapy, and you'll see a lot of people with autism and mental cases, and a lot of people who've been to war and have been violent situations are actually treated with animals.
Yes, I've heard of animal therapy.
Animal-assisted therapy. That tells you, did we have to discover a medicine for you to tell you, for us to know that animals are basically therapeutic, in one way or the other? Number two, take care of the animal you've got, because that particular animal is actually a reflection of yourself. People who are unable to take care of their animals cannot even take care of other people. You know, so cruelty in people and harshness in people and hostilities people can be determined by how well they keep and relate to their animals. You know, so it's very important for you to think about your animal, because how you treat it says a lot about who you are.
Ooh, freshness, sweetness.
On behalf of the African Network for Animal Welfare, we would like to express our heartfelt appreciation to Kenyatta University Television for featuring our work and hearing our stories. We hope that they will inspire the public and make them more responsible and better stewards towards animal care and animal keeping. Thank you.
Well, that's all we have for you today in this episode. Remember to show a little compassion to the animals living around you. My name is Anne Mashari. Until next time, stay tuned.
Happiness.